I am joined by longtime UFC slash MMA veteran, smiling Sam Alvey. Sam, how are you, sir?
I am doing wonderful, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. First and foremost, in a world this crazy and mad, how do you stay smiling?
Have you ever seen my wife? You should Google her. She'll make you smile.
Much respect. Of course, she won the top model show, didn't she? America's.
She did. She was America's Next Top Model.
Yeah, that's
Yep,
awesome. I mean,
yep.
you're living it. You got it going on, man. Fighting for money to support yourself, and got the model wife. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense. I see why you're smiling.
The good Lord has blessed me.
Amen to that. Uh, well, most guys, speaking of being blessed, are lucky to get one UFC fight, let alone a contract of four, let alone 24. Sam,
Hmm.
you fought in the UFC 24 times plus two tough exhibitions.
Hmm.
What is the secret to the staying power and the longevity?
People tend to remember me as being a stand and bang kind of guy, and that's really never been the kind of fighter I am. I have outside of like my last three UFC fights, I didn't get hit much. I've always been that defensive counter fighter. Now, the last three, I got tagged once or twice. Uh, but for most of my career, I did the hitting. I was the guy that landed that one shot power knockout. And I really do think that was part of what made my staying power, last so long. But it was I didn't get into these prolonged striking things. I could just find a way to connect that one time that was needed, and it ended the fights early.
Uh oh, absolutely. And I mean now I think you just you got yourself back into the win column back in May. Um
Yeah.
what was it like? Was it strange at all competing outside of the UFC?
No, you know what? I've The cage is the same size roughly. You get in the cage, and it doesn't matter who it's for, where it's at, who's watching. It matters that you're in that cage. And so I got in there, and I was just ready to show off again, have some fun. I mean, there's no pressure on me this time. Uh, I just came off the worst streak in UFC history. Who cares? I mean, who cares what happens in this next one, other than me?
Sure. I mean, I guess that's a good attitude to have about it. Um, and I'm sure you could have gone multiple directions post UFC, but ultimately you signed with Karate Combat. How
Mhm.
did that relationship form?
I Raymond Daniels is a buddy of mine. I've trained with him for more than one fight, and he's just an incredible talent. He's one of the few guys out there that made me want to become a wrestler. I saw he was fighting. I came across my Instagram feed. Hey, fighting tonight, we're Friday Combat, and so I tuned in and watched him go. And I was so impressed with the promotion, the way it looked. It has this futuristic look to it. I know it's all CGI or green screen or whatever it is, but it just catches your eye. And then the pacing of the fights was just fast. You didn't have to worry about the wrestling or the cage or any of that to slow it down. It was just the constant threat of a knockout coming, and I was just hooked immediately. I believe he was the co-main event of the night, and I watched him win. And then I wanted to see who was next. I want to see the main event, and I don't think I've missed one yet. I know tonight or Thursday night it's the Kumite finale. Find out who
Mhm.
wins their tournament, and I'm so excited. I haven't had a combat sports promotion excite me quite like Karate Combat has in a while.
I mean, I definitely understand. It's the way I describe it is it's whatever way I love all combat sports, but whatever way bare knuckle has gone, karate combat's like in the other direction. It has kind of this elegant, more I don't want to say prestigious, but it definitely has kind of a more proper old school feel to it.
It does. The bare knuckle that they just embrace the WWE ness. They got girls flashing people at the end. They have the champs shoving each other after a fight. And Karate Combat has not done that, but they are giving it a personality of its own. They're letting the fighters have a little personality with it. And so I think that they've made it far classier than BKFC. And I don't know the statistics as far as knockouts go, but the coolness of the knockouts is way higher in the Karate Combat League.
Yeah, they're definitely like movie style knockouts, I would
They
say.
are. They are.
I was talking with Chad Mendez the other day, and he just retired from combat sports after that crazy bare knuckle war with Eddie Alvarez. Fantastic fight.
Yeah.
But he was lobbying for the UFC to change the length of their rounds in the name of action, just because 5 minutes is like an eternity. Do you think they would benefit from shorter rounds, maybe?
I like the 5 minute rounds, given I haven't done a 3 minute round in damn near forever. Uh, so I'll let you know after my karate combat league debut. But my good, sorry, my buddy's telling me it's time for me to go. And I 5 minutes is enough time to work. It's more to it than just making it fast for the fans. I will enjoy whatever they decide to make me do, but I kind of like. I think I'm gonna like the 5 minute rounds. Although the conditioning for this camp is so much easier with only 3 minutes.
And I know you definitely have a wrestling background, and I know you're known for your one-hitter quitters. Where does your striking background come from?
So when I first started fighting, I was before I started fighting, I was doing kobudo, which is weaponry. So I was using weapons and learning how to use nunchucks and size and all that stuff, and I just had a blast doing it. And then I moved on from just that. I was started MMA in the back room of a Kempo karate studio, which is the same studio I was learning weapons. So I just started doing, okay, we're doing push kicks, we're doing hook kicks, we're doing these kicks, and that's kind of how everything started.
The Kempo, you were training at a
Yeah,
place
the first
called Kempo, so that's kind of your background. That's pretty
yeah
cool.
the first 4 or 5 years, Metz's Combat Club. That's what we were called, and so the whole club was karate based. He had a lot of black belts. I never got a black belt, but I think he'd probably give me one now if I asked.
I don't doubt that whatsoever. So September 16th, Karate Combat 41, you're heading to the Dominican Republic, taking on Adam Hamos. Uh, a lot of gyms, they have a ring or they have a cage or they have a half cage maybe, but not many have a pit or a 45-degree embankment to train on. Have you got any pit work in, or are you just going to figure it out as you go? Or
I've tried to figure it out. I don't know how to practice it and fly off a pit wall. But isn't that pit the coolest thing you've ever fought in? I personally, I've always preferred watching fights that happen in a ring. They're easier to see than a cage. The cage is just, I mean, it's a cage. It's a lot of obstruction. This
Mhm.
pit's even easier than a ring. So I'm a huge fan of this pit. I think it is the coolest thing. And it's only a matter of time till I do some Ninja Turtle stuff off the wall.
I'm definitely looking forward to it. So after KC 41, do you have multiple fights on your contract, or is it a one and done, or how is that structured?
No, I've signed up for a couple fights, and honest to God, I want to get their title. I want to be their champion. They've just put on an incredible show. I have a ton of respect for all their champions, and actually, Turbo Ross, their middleweight champion, I have already been bickering a little bit online, so we're gonna make that happen. We might meet at 205, so he's not putting his belt on the line right away. But
Okay.
when I beat him at 205, maybe I'll drop down to 85 and take his belt from him too.
Oh, Ross Levine, that would be fantastic. That's
Dude, dude, he is just that high kick. It goes from zero to your head in no time flat.
yeah, he's legit. He is as legit as they come, I guess I'll say. Well, do you have a prediction? How do you see September 16th playing out? Are we gonna get a classic Sam Alvey knockout?
You know what? I get paid more for a knockout, so I'm going for a knockout. Their pay structure is a little different than anything I've ever done before, and I get rewarded for that one hitter quitter like you're talking about, and so that is what I'm shooting for. If I get that, I make 3 times as much as I would have normally.
Oh wow, that's incredible. Uh, how would you compare the Karate Combat contract to, let's say, the UFC contract? You've dealt with the UFC for so long, you know.
Uh, I mean, you can't compare the pay structures. Nothing compares to the UFC pay structure. But what it is doing, it gives you all the incentive in the world to go out there and put on a hell of a show. To go out there and get that knock. So I mean, even the PFL doesn't pay as well as the UFC does, but there is the potential for growth, and the amount of exposure karate combat can give you is second to none.
And that production value is through the roof, in my personal opinion. It is insane.
It looks so sharp. You can see the sweat. I mean, you can see the sweat beads off the fighters. I mean, mid spin kick. It's incredible. I don't know where they got their cameras from, but they're incredible. I mean, they're as HD Bluetooth Blu-ray as you can get.
Oh, it's true. It's definitely true. All right. Well, how can people follow you along on your journey? What's your Instagram, Twitter, social media handles? How can people follow you?
Yeah, so I'm at Smile and Sam. That's Smile and Sam. My YouTube is taking off right now. I'm having just a blast with that. And I'm really putting everything onto there. My TikTok, I have a lot of fun with, and I keep everyone up to date on my YouTube and or on my Instagram and Facebook. But it's Smile and Sam on all of it.
Smiling Sam. Awesome. Well, Sam Alvey, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak with me. You are making your Karate Combat debut September 16th in the Dominican Republic. Have fun out there.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on, my friend. I'll talk to you after.